What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Blitz Angle. I'm Blitz Link, and I'm here with Brady Penn. We are talking NFL predictions for the 2025 season. Brady, we are only one day away from the biggest blowout of opening day history. Maybe not the Broncos Ravens style, but the Eagles are going belt to ass to the Cowboys in one day. It's exciting, though. The NFL season's around the corner, and that's why we are coming out with our predictions. Brady, is the NFL going to be a little bit wild in 2025?
And most definitely, I mean, you've got a lot of compelling storylines from teams that are pre-existing great teams. You got teams that have young cores that are hoping to take that next step. You got teams that used to be good that are going to be terrible. So all in all, like there's a lot to take a look at, and I'm really excited to see how this rookie class specifically does this year. I know we were there covering the draft in Green Bay, and so it'll kind of feel like we've seen like we did all our scouting. We were at the draft, kind of feel like we've seen these guys like along the journey to the NFL and see how it translates. And you never know, maybe we'll see Travis Hunter and the Jags go crazy and be like, oh, I remember when me and Blitz Link talked to him back in Green Bay. So a lot of things to be excited about, and definitely excited to get into it. And I also want to apologize to our viewers that are OCD because we have different aspect ratios right now with me on my phone.
Listen, the people will have to deal with it. We'll get some graphics throughout this thing. But Brady, let's start right into our predictions, and let's start with one of the tougher divisions of the last decade, the AFC North. Obviously, last year the Ravens dominated this division. You had the Steelers make the playoffs, taking second place. Russell Wilson's now out there. The Bengals missed the playoffs surprisingly, had a ton of trials and tribulations despite a healthy season from Joe Burrow. Then the Browns took a massive step back. What does your outlook look like for the AFC North this year?
Yeah, so starting off in the basement, I've got the Cleveland Browns. I think they're going to go 3-14. Joe Flacco will be starting for them at least to begin. And then even if Joe Flacco folds, we'll probably see Dylan Gabriel, which I'm sure a lot of Shador fans will be very reasonable about. Not complain at all. But I mean, you've got Miles Garrett, who you locked up long term now. You got Denzel Ward, and you got Jerry Jeudy had a really nice year last year. But other than that, what do you have? Where's the talent on this team? I know you drafted Mason Graham, who you're hoping turns into a really good three tech, but that's not turning this team around. You got the Steelers, the Bengals, the Ravens alone six times. You've got some pretty tough teams on the schedule, and there's just not a lot of optimism. If you don't have a high level quarterback, you're probably not doing a lot of winning, and the defense is pretty top heavy. So, all in all, I got the Browns last place. Third place, I've got the Steelers and Mike Tomlin having his first losing season as the Steelers head coach. I've got the Steelers at 6-11. I think that Aaron Rodgers, his prime is past him. I'm not sure how much he even really cares about football as opposed to the spotlight right now. I was dunking on him last year in our preview. I'm going to do it again this year. He was horrible last season for the Jets, and DK Metcalf is a great wide receiver. He's not quite top 10, but he's great. He got a bag. He'll be there. And then who else do you have on this offense? Calvin Austin's your number two receiver. Pat Fryermuth is fine, but that's your tight end. Your running back, Jalen Warren. The offensive line is mediocre. I don't really see a lot of explosiveness on this offense. And by the way, as bad as Russell Wilson was at times down the stretch and as bad as Justin Fields was, this offense was still 14th, 15th, something like that in EPA per play. So I don't really see a much higher ceiling with Aaron Rodgers in terms of where they'll fall, EPA, scoring, all those things than I did with Wilson. People forget they were pretty successful for most of the year until the final month, 5 weeks for that offense. I got the Steelers third, 6-11. Defense is good, but aging. TJ Watt getting older. Cam Hayward, contract complaints, getting older. Jalen Ramsey getting older. Darius Slay already really old. So I just don't like the outlook of this team. There's not a lot of youth. There's not a lot of explosiveness. George Pickens is gone. Number two, I've got the Cincinnati Bengals going 11-6. Look, this defense is going to be bad, but the offense is going to put up a lot of points some games to where it doesn't matter. Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, and Trey Hendrickson, the core, they're all back. And I like the Bengals to get second place in this division. And then number one, and my number one overall team in the AFC is the Baltimore Ravens, who I have at 15-2, Ryan. I have the Ravens in store for a really great season. Look, once Zach Orr got the defense figured out and moved Kyle Hamilton back in week 10, they became a top five unit in the sport. The offense was elite. Lamar Jackson had a 41-4 touchdown to interception ratio. Derrick Henry was awesome. Zay Flowers, remember, he wasn't playing in the playoffs. He's back. He's in year three. He should be improved. Rashad Bateman finally looked good last year. You've got two of the 10 best tight ends in the sport. You've got a good offensive line, especially if you can figure out that guard where Falele is, figure out if he's going to get it together or someone else needs to be in there. But you've got Linderbaum, We've got Ronnie Stanley back. You've got a good unit. Defensively, you added Malachi Starks and Mike Green, maybe two of the five highest ceiling defensive prospects in the draft. You added Jair Alexander if he can get healthy. Year two of Nate Wiggins, Marlon Humphrey in the slot, Kyle Hamilton, Matabike, Van Noy. This is just an experienced and really good roster. They've gotten a little bit closer in the playoffs the last few years, and we'll talk about playoffs later on. But the Ravens are my number one team, both in the AFC and in the AFC North.
Yeah, I'm gonna go top to down, alternate order of you there, and I think you kind of nailed it with this Ravens team. I think Eagles by far, like still are at the top of the class in terms of roster talent. The Ravens are right behind them at two, and they're not far off, especially if Mike Green, Malachi Starks can cash in at what we think talent wise they are. I mean, adding an edge rusher like Mike Green, where they would, I mean, it's just not fair what Baltimore's been able to do in order to build this roster. You mentioned Jair Alexander. I still think when he's going to be on the field, this is a really good cornerback room. Wiggins, Humphrey, Jair. I mean, that's a tough trio, and they're not going to ask Jair of what he was asked in Green Bay, which could help
Mm-mm.
long term for this team. But it all runs through Lamar Jackson. I got them at 13-4. They are clearly going to win this division, make the playoffs. It all depends, and I talked to you about this just a little bit before the show. Lamar Jackson's foot, is it going to be something that flares up time to time this year? Is it going to be a serious issue? I'm not sure. Don't want to make any claims or know anything about it, but it is something to monitor. And if Lamar Jackson's not at 100%, despite this Ravens team having a talented roster, they need Lamar Jackson if they're going to win a Super Bowl. Second team going with Cincinnati as well. Sure, they don't have a defense. Their defense is going to be brutal, but getting Shamar Stewart and Trey Hendrickson at least on board for this season, that at least gives me two formidable pieces that I can buy into a little bit. Their defense is still going to be bottom 7 in the NFL for sure. Offensively, you can't go against the trio of Burrow, Chase, Higgins. You can even mix in Chase Brown and call it a foursome at this point. Those guys are all really elite, and they're going to find a way to keep this Bengals teams in games. I don't know if it's going to be what we used to see from the Bengals 2-3 years ago, but I think this Bengals team is going to be competitive this year, and I think a healthy Joe Burrow to start the season puts them on the right foot. I got them at 10-7 this year, Brady. Next team, the Pittsburgh Steelers. And unlike you, I have to put them above 500 because I just want to be right for once. And just, I mean, me and you sat on the show last year and we're just like, Steelers stuck, Steelers stink, all this stuff. They do this year again. They don't have a lot of flash to them. I think DK Metcalf actually gives them an explosive playmaker, which is something they haven't had in quite some times. Pickens was good down the field, but Metcalf is a guy that can take a ball 75 yards to the house. They haven't had that in a long time. I know Caleb Johnson starting as the team's RB3, but he fits perfectly for this system long term under Arthur Smith. If Rodgers is halfway decent, this team will once again be right around 500. And with Mike Tomlin and his Juju magic, you just know like something's going to happen. They'll wind up above 500, but they'll be right out of the playoffs if they make it. But they're 9-8. I'm not going to reveal or not if they make it, but Brady, that's awfully close to
I
missing the
got I
playoffs.
got a hot take though. I got a
All
hot
right, let's
take.
hear this hot take.
This will be Mike Tomlin's last year as the head coach for the Pittsburgh
Oh,
Steelers. I
him
think
and
that
Aaron going off in the sunset.
well, yeah, I think it's going to be Aaron and like I mentioned my disappointing prediction for them. I think it could be a point where the Steelers are like, "Hey, Mike, we love you. You've done great. But this is five quarterbacks in 5 years since Ben was gone. We need a hard reset. We need an offensive coach. Like we're gonna go with that. Thank you for your service." And then Mike Tomlin will get picked up quickly somewhere else. Even if it's as a DC, he'll be somewhere else very within a week. But I think that this could be his last year. I think they could have a new quarterback and head coach in 2026.
That is a spicy one right there. The Cleveland Browns are in last place for me. I actually think the Browns will be frisky with Flacco at quarterback. We've seen him have a really high ceiling at times, which has been fun to watch, but he also throws some crazy plays and then he throws them out of a game at times. I mean, the Browns
Dog.
roster is not super far removed from actually competing in the playoffs, but this team is just not there right now. I got them at 4-13. Brady, let's take it to the AFC East. Probably if not the third weakest division in football. They're down there for sure. The Bills have dominated this division over the past few seasons, but it looks like a new team perchance could be pushing them at the top. Let's see what you got prediction wise.
All right, so we're going to start off in last place. In a long history of disappointing seasons, it's going to be another one for the New York Jets. They're going 4-13. Justin Fields is one
Yeah,
of the
you don't love
four.
Justin Fields as a passer?
Justin Fields is one of the four worst starting QBs in the league. I don't know why Garrett Wilson signed an extension unless he just wanted the money. I like some of the defensive pieces, mainly Sauce Gardner and Quinnen Williams, but you lost DJ Reed. Your defense wasn't all that great last year. And what do you got? Is Alan Lazard still there? I don't even remember who all the Jets weapons. I know Tyler Johnson is one of their like starting wide
All
receivers
you
right
need to know
now.
is it's Garrett Wilson and then nobody.
Yeah, the offensive line not good, and so Jets easy last place pick for me. Dolphins, I think, are also going to be really bad. I think the Dolphins, look, they got Minka Fitzpatrick. I'll say that, but the question for me is Mike McDaniel. To me, clearly over the last 2 years, has slowly lost the locker room a little bit. Has slowly lost the trust of these Miami Dolphins players, especially with all the Tua stuff that went down. Tua, I don't think is very good. Tyreek Hill is 33 years old now. He's not getting any younger. He's not going to reach the peaks that he once did. Jalen Waddle, only 700 yards last year. I know he dealt with some quarterback issues. Devon Achane, can he stay healthy? Mostert's not there anymore to kind of buffer him a little bit and give him less of a load. Then on the defense, like I said, you did get Minka Fitzpatrick, but you lost Jalen Ramsey. You have Chop Robinson, who I like as a prospect, but other than that, there's not a lot of talent on this defense. For real, look up the starters for this Dolphins defense. I think it's going to be a big time struggle for them. And then at second, it's the New England Patriots. Patriots have the benefit of a really easy schedule. Patriots play a lot of bad teams from last year, play a lot of teams that are around their level. And as we approach week one, I do want to say I do think that they lose this week one game against the Raiders with an experienced quarterback in Geno Smith, Brock Bowers, Ashton Genty, the talent on that side in the first game for Mike Vrabel. But I think they're going to turn it around and go 10-7. I think that they'll lose to the Bills a couple of times. There will be a few other tough games, but I think the Patriots will be a lot more of a tough and competitive football team than they have been the past few years. I think Mike Vrabel is doing a really good job of reinstilling that Patriot way, which I don't necessarily love the cliche of that, but it's true. They look like they're playing harder. They look like they're playing tougher, playing faster, and playing smarter. So I like the Patriots at 10-7. I think Drake May takes a step, especially if Will Campbell helps him out off that blind side. Travion Henderson, a guy that we really both like. He's my runner-up for Offensive Rookie of the Year, which we'll talk about later. And the defense should be pretty good after the investments they put in. You got Carlton Davis across from Christian Gonzalez now. You got Robert Spillane, Harold Landry, added some other guys out there. So I like them. And then the Bills, got the Bills winning the division once again for the fifth straight year at 14-3. Josh Allen won MVP last year. We all know what he's about. They needed to fix a few things on their defense. They drafted Maxwell Harrison, a cornerback that they hope can contribute. They signed Joey Bosa in free agency. If he's healthy, that could be a big piece to go with Greg Rousseau and Ed Oliver on that D line. And I don't love Sean McDermott as a coach, but I do love Josh Allen as a player. And I've seen Josh Allen elevate this team for years. I've got the Bills in first place in the AFC East.
Yeah, the Bills are the clear-cut first team. I mean, I don't know if this is the best Bills roster I've seen. It looks like they're in a kind of a retooling phase of this roster. Wide receiver group is mix and match, and I think they're good with that. With Joe Brady, they paid James Cook, so they're basically saying we're going to pay our running backs instead of our receivers. We'll see how that works out long term for them, but they have a great group of tackles there with Spencer Brown, Deion Dawkins. That's always going to help your quarterback play well. Josh Allen's one of the best in the league. Defensively, I have my concerns, but Sean McDermott's proven to be a solid regular season coach in terms of defensive production. Listen, Brady, I don't if they don't get over the hump this year, I could see McDermott being on the hot seat for sure.
Definitely.
Um,
I think they could pass it off to Joe Brady if he messes it up. Hey, Joe Brady, you're the head coach now, buddy. We're running. They're an offensive team. Here we go.
that would be fascinating to see if they would do that. Maybe Mike Tomlin comes over and coaches Buffalo's D.
Yeah, like similar to not quite the same, but similar to when Tampa stayed in house and brought Todd Bowles to replace Bruce Arians, like something like that.
Yeah, I can see that. I got New England in second. I agree with you in terms of the schedule. They're one of my sneaky dark horse playoff teams. I just love the fact that they get a new coach, they invest all this money in free agency just to improve the talent around Drake May while he's still on his rookie contract. You don't go see a lot of teams just say, we have all this money, let's go spend it right now. We got to help our young guy, see some development and growth. And they did that. They did as good of a job as they could. They didn't get that star receiver like I think they hoped for, but I mean, Stephon Diggs is a good veteran that should
He's a
help
good
them.
bridge. He's a
He
good
is a good
bridge guy.
bridge. He's a
Yeah.
good bridge. Trevion Henderson's an elite playmaker. I can't wait to watch him play at the NFL level. Defensively, I like what they're doing at the cornerback room. I do think their edge rushers concern me. I like what Milton Williams could do inside, but I think the defense is going to be better than it was last year. I just think the schedule helps them a ton. If Drake May takes a step forward with more talent around him. Patriots are going to be knocking on the door of the playoffs. I got them at 9-8. The Dolphins are my next team here. I have them at 5-12 this year, and here's why. Listen, I think the young duo of Chop Robinson and Kenneth Grant, that's a good duo there. I think long term that could play well for them, but other than that, defensively, there's nothing that excites me about this Miami Dolphins defense. No, an older Minka doesn't excite me. Offensively, the interior offensive line looks completely different than it did 2 years ago. Teron Armstead retired really late. They didn't really get a good replacement for him on the offensive line. If you can't protect Tua, we know what's going to happen. He's very injury prone. He's not going to be able to stay on the field. I like Tyreek, Waddle, and Devon Achane, even if they all had down years last year. But if you can't protect Tua, you're not going to be able to win in Miami, and that's going to be a rough year for them. I expect them to be sellers at the deadline. Tyreek could be finding a new home in a big midseason trade. Last team here, New York Jets. The Jets are like, I don't know how to kind of describe the Jets because they do have
Bad.
talent. Like they have talent though. That's the thing is like the Jets have high end talent, but it feels like they're
But it's not at enough of the premium positions. You don't have it at quarterback. You don't have it at tackle. You don't have it at edge rusher.
yeah,
Like,
you have it at nose tackle, you have it at cornerback, you have it at wide receiver. I
yeah.
think Brees Hall, Braylon Allen's a good running back room, right? But if the offensive line doesn't hold up, not sure what the production is we get. They're just a weird team because you look at the top of their roster, like they got some big time names on this team, but I don't think the 22 guys that they roll out there on a weekly basis are enough for this Jets team to compete. I mean, the best thing is they hope the Patriots and the Dolphins are, just bottom feeders this year and they can eat up some games there. And I just don't think their ceiling reaches more than 9 games this year. I just think the Jets are in a really tough place and they kind of made their bed when they signed Justin Fields to be their starter for the season. Let's head out to the AFC West here. Brady, this division looks like an absolute gauntlet this year.
Yeah, it absolutely does. And I'm going to start it off with the Las Vegas Raiders, who I think will be the best 8 and 9 team in football. I really like the Raiders and what they've got. Max Crosby is one of the premier edge rushers in the game. I know they lost Christian Wilkins because of whatever he had going on.
Whatever's going on over there.
But then you got Brock Bowers, who's second best tight end in the league already going into year two. You got Geno Smith, who, if you don't know, go look up Geno Smith's splits indoors and outdoors. Guess where he'll be playing? Indoors in Vegas. He's going to ball out at Jacoby Myers if they can work something out with him and keep him around. And you got Ashton Genty, who you drafted in the first round, going to be an explosive, dynamic running back. You worked out a deal with Colton Miller, your star tackle. You've got Jack Beck, who you brought in, who's a really exciting young rookie wide receiver. It's just that the division is so deep, and these division games are going to be so tough. And if you have to ask me out of these four, who the team I least believe in to win a game late, it's the Raiders. And even though I think they're a talented team and a good team, I don't like them as much as these other three. Now at three, I've got the Los Angeles Chargers. I think they're going to go 12-5 this year. It does hurt to lose Rashawn Slater, but Joe Alt's going to move over to left tackle. He was a stud there at Notre Dame. He's going to pick that up no problem. Justin Herbert's blind side will not be an issue. The right side, we'll see. But Justin Herbert in year two of this offense, I think they're going to find some new wrinkles. He got Amari and Hampton in the backfield after J.K. Dobbins had a lot of success last year following 2 different knee surgeries. So I think a young, fresh Amari and Hampton will be a really good player for them. Lad McConkey in year two should get even more chemistry. If they can figure something out with Quentin Johnston, we'll see. Right now, he's got the bust hovering over his head. He's not quite a bust yet, but he's got to pick it up a little bit. But then you drafted Trey Harris out of Ole Miss, who's a guy that I like. I think he'll fit the offense well. Defense should still be pretty good. I am concerned about the corners. I do not like the corners in the Chargers room, but I mean, we'll see. You still got Derwin James. You still got Khalil Mack. They're still a good squad, and I do think they'll lose in Brazil against the Chiefs. I think they might get them the second time. Them and the Broncos played really tight last year. I know the Chargers got the comfort behind victory late in the year at home. I like the Chargers in third. In second, I've got the top 2 teams in the division are going to have the same record, I think. And this might be a hot take, but I've got the Denver Broncos at 13-4 this year. Now,
Woo!
so listen, Bo Nix, I think he's good enough. I don't think Bo Nix is elite. I don't think he's going to be elite this year, but I think he's going to be a 3,800 yard type guy with 28, 30 touchdowns this year. I think their ground game will be good enough. Cortland Sutton is one of the most underrated receivers in the game. But the thing is that defense, though. That defense was the best in the league last year. Defensive player of the year, Pat Surtain. And then you add Jade Barron. You add Dre Greenlaw. You add Talanoa Hufanga. You've got Nick Benito again. You've got Zach Allen on the interior. Like I said, Sertan, Riley Moss, even. This is a great, great defense. Sean Payton's a phenomenal coach. I see Bo Nix taking another step, as I was kind of alluding to there. I wish that they had gotten another weapon in the draft. If they could have gotten a Colston Loveland or a Luther Burden or something like that. But you got J.K. Dobbins in Denver now, too. So I think this is going to be a really good team. I think the defense is going to excel once again this year, and I think the offense takes a step forward. But the reason they're not winning the division is the Kings of the West, the Kansas City Chiefs. It's going to be a fight to the end. This is going to be the deepest, the latest that the AFC West has been decided in years between these three teams. And it's going to come down to the late season matchup between the Broncos and the Chiefs. But I can't pick against the Chiefs, especially in the regular season stakes in that kind of environment. They've just been there too many times compared to these other two teams. I think that the offense should look better, especially once Rasheed Rice returns after 6 games. Hollywood Brown, if he can stay healthy, Kelsey can give you a little something every now and again. He kind of has to pick and choose the spots right now. Pacheco, more healthy this year. And then you got Xavier Worthy if he takes a step. The defense will still be fine. You got your left tackle now in Josh Simmons, and it's Mahomes. I mean, I don't see Mahomes' stats dropping for a third straight year. I'm not saying he's throwing for 40 something touchdowns and 5,000 yards, but I find it hard to see his stats going worse from 23 to 24 to 25. I think he has a little bit of positive regression, and the Chiefs are once again champs of the AFC West.
Yeah, I mean, I have a basically for the fourth straight division the same order as you right now. The Chiefs, I have as my number one squad. I have them at 13-4 right now. I think the Rasheed Rice part of their schedule is just the worst part of their schedule. You get the Lions, the Ravens, the Chargers, and then you get the Eagles as well mixed in. Those are four brutal games to have in that 6 game stretch without them. So I think walking out of there 4-2 is a good sign for that Chiefs team if they're able to keep it up. And I mean, last year they won 15 games without, like Pacheco majority of the year, Hollywood majority of the year, Rasheed was out majority of the year. So I think, the defense, my biggest concern is the safety position right now. I think adding Christian Fulton in that cornerback room is going to be exciting for them because they can move McDuffie back in the slot when they need him to. Should help give them a lot of versatility, but the safeties are a little bit unproven. Brian Cook has struggled over the top. You mentioned nose tackle before this, being able to stop the run, which they were so good at. Losing to Sean Wharton could hurt them, but I think they kind of mix and match guys this year and see what we get. But I mean, the Chiefs defense should be one of the better units. Offensively, it's going to all be about, can Josh Simmons live up to the lofty expectations of the preseason? The Chiefs have been looking for a franchise left tackle for some time. If Josh Simmons
And
has that year, I mean, the sky's the limit for this offense. I
and,
mean,
and
you
it's
got
like, hey, buddy, week one, here's Khalil Mack.
Here's Khalil Mack. Welcome to the NFL. Like, we'll see. We will know what Josh Simmons is early on. I mean, he's going to have, the Eagles. He's going to have the Lions. He's going to have the Ravens mixed in there. The Giants, even in that schedule, have some pretty good edge rushers as well. We'll find out what Josh Simmons is early, and that's going to be a big X factor for the Chiefs this year. The second team, I got the Broncos. I don't have them going 13-4, but I have them at 11-6. I really like what they did on offense, especially adding to the running back room. I mean, their running back room was brutal last year. Harvey paired with Dobbins is a good duo behind a really strong run blocking offensive line. The receivers are okay. I think that's a good way of putting it.
I think Marvin Mims is really
He's
underrated.
very underrated. One of my favorite fantasy sleepers. They're going to use him more this year too, which is going to be nice. I think Evan Ingram at this point in his career is just meh. Cortland Sutton's
He's
always been above
fine.
average.
Yeah.
Like, I think
No, no,
they're
hey, listen. I didn't realize this until about 2 weeks ago when went back and looked. Cortland Sutton was really good last year, like
oh
really
yeah,
good.
really
Yeah.
good. And you saw him and Bo Nix the first time they played this preseason together for a while. Like, it was just Cortland Sutton, Cortland Sutton, Cortland Sutton, Cortland Sutton.
Mhm.
Like, they have a good connection there too. I
Yeah.
don't think he's a top guy at the NFL, but he's good. He's a good
Yeah.
player. But I mean, everything rides through that defense. Like, if this defense is as good as they were last year, and they added pieces like Hufunga and Greenlaw to this defense, like, that's going to be a really tough unit to prepare for on a weekly basis. And I mean, the Broncos are going to be tough this year. The Chargers, I feel a little bit less confident with at 10-7. I think the Slater injury is bigger than a lot of people want to admit. I mean, losing him is just, it's really tough for them. I think the interior offensive line is not the strong part of this offense. You could lose one of your two top tackles. I mean, it's just not going to help. I love what they did drafting Amari and Hampton. I think their receiver room went from one of the bottom 10 units in the NFL to maybe a top 10 unit with the amount of depth they have there now in terms of a veteran like Keenan Allen, an upside guy like Trey Harris. Quentin Johnston still gives them a little bit, but he's not, like you mentioned, living up to the expectations. And then that defense, their defense was really good last year. We'll see what we get from them this year. They have a little bit of an older unit with some younger guys in the secondary, so we'll see. But I think the Chargers are a team that I am kind of watching if they have a big regression this year, like we saw from some other teams last year. The last team's the Raiders. I love what they did on offense. They completely revitalized a pretty brutal unit last year. They had some big time pieces in there, but I mean the defense is my biggest concern. Their front's going to be good. I think Crosby, Tyree Wilson, Malcolm Kuntz. That's a great little defensive line, but outside of the defensive line, nothing excites me about their defense. And unfortunately, the NFL, you have more than four positions to play. Fortunately for the Raiders, they have a strong pass rush, which should cover up some stuff, but they're going to have a hard time stopping the run, and they're going to be having a hard time stopping big time plays if they don't get any pass rush. So that is how I have the AFC West shaking out. The AFC South, Brady, are we going to have a surprise winner?
I think we will, and I'm going to go ahead and put it mark my flag right here. The winner of the AFC South will be below 500, and
Woo!
I think it's going to start with the Colts sitting at 3-14 in last place. Colts fans, one of my coworkers is a huge Colts fan, and he is not. He's literally already looking forward to the draft. And Anthony Richardson experiment is coming to a brutal end, very anticlimactic end. It appears Daniel Jones is the quarterback. AR will probably get reps, but if he doesn't improve at all, this will be his last year there. You got Jonathan Taylor, who had the quietest 1,400-yard season ever last year, and you got pretty good pass catchers. You got Pierce, Pittman, Josh Downs, AD Mitchell, Tyler Warren, but I don't believe in the quarterback situation at all. And then the defense. The defense was really bad against the pass last year. They added a little bit older Travarius Ward. They added Cam Bynum in free agency, and the defensive line and run defense should be fine. But there's nothing spectacular about this team to me. There's not an area where I can say they're great in that area. And the one that they're the worst in is the passing game and the quarterback. That's the most important one. So I've got them going 3-14. They'll be in the market for the number one pick potentially at the end of the year. Number three, I've got the Titans with Cam Ward going 4-13. I think the Titans will be one of those teams that even though they're losing games, you see them steadily improve throughout the year with their rookie quarterback. I think Cam Ward is just going to pepper Calvin Ridley with targets out there for them. They lost Nick Westbrook Akine, who was good for them last year. You added Tyler Lockett, who will be a good veteran presence to have with Cam Ward, a young quarterback. You got Pollard and Spears in the backfield, but then on the defense, it's Jeffrey Simmons and who? Like, there's nobody on this defense besides L'Jarius Sneed if he gets back to form and healthy. And I don't think this team's going to be good, but I think Cam Ward will put a lot of good things on film. And I think that they'll be the type of team that can be a spoiler down weeks 15 through 18 and knock off a good team randomly on the road or something like that. Like that's the type of team that they'll be, and their progression will just be based off of how does Cam look each week. And I think that the
Yeah.
answer is going to be pretty good. So in the second spot, I've got the Houston Texans at 7-10. Now the Texans have a really good defense. Thing that I'm not sold on is they're patching to the receiver room. Are Jaden Higgins and Jalen Noel going to be enough with T. Higgins being absent, with losing Stephon Diggs? We know Nico Collins is great. We know CJ Stroud is great. But this offensive line was terrible last year, and they did pretty much nothing this offseason to improve. As a matter of fact, they probably got worse getting rid of the only good offensive lineman that they had in Laramie Tunsil. Now, Will Anderson, Daniil Hunter, two elite edges, Derek Stingley, one of the league's best corners. Their defense will keep them in games where they're not scoring a ton, but I just see them being a below average team overall. I think that there will be a lot of clear cut things the Texans need to fix, mainly along the offensive line this offseason. And I've got them finishing second to the Jacksonville Jaguars. The Jaguars are the
Duval.
Jaguars are like that secret crush you have that you don't want to admit to your friends, but you kind of into it. That's me with the Jaguars right now. And I think that Travis Hunter is going to be phenomenal. He's my offensive rookie of the year, not defensive as some people might think. I think that him and Brian Thomas in a Liam Cohen offense is finally going to unlock Trevor Lawrence a little bit. I'm not saying he's going to be elite, but I think it's going to be more of what we've been looking for from Trevor. And this is his prove it year because now you've got two premier weapons on the outside. You've got a really good play caller. We'll see about the defense and what Travis does for them, but you've got a couple guys that you can maybe build with on that defense. And I don't think they're going to be great. I think they're going to be exciting, though. I think they're going to put up some points. I think they're going to go 8-9 and win the AFC South.
Yeah, I'm gonna roll through this one. I think the Texans, they're gonna be the team this year that makes the playoffs that has one or two wins max against playoff teams, despite having that type of a schedule. They're gonna beat up on their own division. Their division's really weak, and it's going to be because of their defense. Their defense is going to give fits to quarterbacks like Trevor Lawrence, Cam Ward, Daniel Jones, or AR. Their defense is built for that with the two elite edge rushers, really good cornerback room of Lassiter and Derek Stingley. I really like the Texans' defense. The offensive line, it is what it is right now. It's not going to be a flashy group. Cam Robinson, Armand Membu, like not Armand Membu, Ariante Airse as their tackles. Like those guys are, I don't know what we're going to get out of them. I think the Texans have enough defensively and a CJ Stroud, Nico Collins connection to keep them at the top of the division barely. But like you, I'm excited about this Jaguars team. I think the offense has the pieces to be successful. BTJ with Travis Hunter on offense. You have a potential resurgence of Trevor Lawrence at quarterback. This team's not that far removed from the playoffs. You insert Liam Cohen, a new fresh face. The defense is going to absolutely suck. They're going to be like a they're going to be a poor man's version of Cincinnati, Brady. That's basically what they're going to look like this year. And I think they're going to be fun to watch. I don't have them making the playoffs, but I have them going 8-9, taking a big step forward. And maybe next year they can go get some guys on the defensive side of the ball. They give them a chance to compete. The Colts are my next team at 6-11. The Colts have I don't know how to put it. They have a veteran type roster, kind of similar to the Jets almost. They don't have the quarterback, but they have a veteran roster. They have a coach who's won a good amount of games in the NFL, made the playoffs. Like Jonathan Taylor, really good player. Wide receiver room's pretty deep. I think Tyler Warren's going to be fun to watch as a rookie, but quarterback situation is everything in the NFL. And I don't know if I could buy into Danny Dimes or AR carrying this team to the playoffs with a mediocre defense. I don't think that's happening this year. So the Colts are going 6-11. And then the Titans, I agree with you. I think it's a Cam Ward. Let's see what you got type of year. We have a few veteran receivers to help you out. I like what Alec Aomanor has shown in the preseason. Chig could even take a step forward. You have a veteran and Tony Pollard in the backfield. The defense, they have a few nice pieces, and the defense was pretty good to start last year. I'm interested to see what they look like when they're healthy, but Titans aren't competing this year. That's for sure. It is a year or two away. Let's build around Cam Ward. Let's see what we got in our number one overall pick and then go from there. Brady, the hottest division in the NFL, the NFC North. Micah Parsons is officially a Packer. Does that change anything for you at the top?
I kind of thought about going back and revising these things, but I think the Packers were already going to be a pretty good team. And if I do have them flipped, it's only a game difference right now between them and the team in front of them. And I'm going to go top to bottom in this division, starting with the Detroit Lions. Don't think they're going to be as great as they were last year. You lose both coordinators, but you do have talent. You have a lot of talent and you've got cohesion. And we'll see how the Lions offense is without Ben Johnson, but you still have Amon Ra. You got JMO, who's starting to look better and better. You got Goff, who's now been around this team for 4 years at this point. And then you got Sam Laporta. You got John Gibbs. Gibbs is going to be one of the best running backs in the league. Once again, David Montgomery right behind him. And then defensively, you got another year of Terry and Arnold. You've got him with Aiden Hutchinson coming back on the defensive side of the ball. Brian Branch at safety. Kirby Joseph at safety. You signed DJ Reed, who I thought was really good for the Jets last year. They're making moves to try and build up this defense. Malcolm Rodriguez coming back from an injury. They were a really injured unit last year, and what was it? Is it DJ Reader? Is that who I'm thinking of?
DJ
On
Reader
the
is
yeah,
back.
DJ Reader will be back. Um, Ali McNeil. We'll see his status as the year kind of goes along. He's coming off a late season injury, but I think they're still going to be a good team, and I think they're going to go 12-5 and either win the North or second in the NFC North based on what happens with Micah Parsons. I didn't want to revise, like I said, but I've got the Packers 11-6 even before. So listen, Packers now with Micah Parsons. I tweeted this the other day. They're the only team in the NFL that was top 10 offensively and defensively in EPA per play, scoring, and DVOA. All three of those, they were in the top 10 offensively and defensively. Also had a 1,300-yard rusher. Also have a pass rusher with 12 or more sacks. Like, that's a great all around team. And the one area where the Packers struggled last year is they were 26th in pass rush win rate. Now they have the best or the second best pass rusher in the sport. What did they have issues with offensively? Throwing the deep ball. Who'd they go and get? Matthew Golden, who's a guy that I was really high on in the draft. If Golden pans out, especially as the season goes along, Jaden Reed turns into one of the league's better wide receiver twos. And sky's the limit for this team, and really will be coming down to Jordan Love. And I think Jordan Love, we've seen him play some really good football at times. I think last year was a weird year with the injuries and never really getting a chance to settle in and kind of just working through things throughout the season. Now they've had a full off season, and Matt LaFleur is an excellent coach. So I think the Packers are going to be in the mix. And at this point, with the Micah move, it's Super Bowl or bust for the Packers right now with the money they're allotting to those two, Love and Parsons, especially. In third place, one of my hottest takes is coming up. It's not this one, but in third place, I do have the Chicago Bears. I have the Bears only going 7-10, but it's an improvement from last year. I think they've got a pretty tough schedule, especially with this division. But what I think we're going to see is a lot more flowing offense. I think the defense could take a step back from where it has been the last year or two, but I think offensively, you added three new starting offensive linemen, including Joe Tooney. You drafted Colston Loveland and Luther Burden. You've got Ben Johnson calling the plays now. And we're building everything to expedite the process of figuring out what Caleb Williams is. Because Caleb put good things on tape last year, but he has things to work on. He wasn't super consistent last year. I think they take a step forward. I still don't think they're there yet. And I think that year two of Ben Johnson will be the real figuring out what that's going to look like there and when we make or break for Caleb. Last, this is the one that I'm most unsure of all my takes. It's the Minnesota Vikings, and this like I even I'm scared to even say it, but I've got them 5 wins, five
Whew.
wins for the Minnesota Vikings, and it was really hard. And if you had asked me without looking and going through it, were the Vikings going to be good? I was going to tell you yes. There's a lot of games that I like just see. I think this game is going to be really close. I think this is a game they end up losing because late down the stretch, JJ McCarthy is not in a spot where the other guy is Jared Goff, Jordan Love, even Caleb, all these other guys in the NFC. They're going to have a good schedule. They're going to play a lot of playoff teams. You've got Jefferson, you've got Addison, even though he's suspended the first 3 games. Hawkinson is more healthy this year. You got Aaron Jones, you brought in Jordan Mason, you got Will Fries and Ryan Kelly on the offensive line. And then even on the D line, you added Javon Hargrave and Jonathan Allen. It's just JJ McCarthy for me. We haven't seen him play in 2 years at Michigan. He wasn't a ceiling raiser. He's always been a guy that we know is toolsy, but needs to figure some things out, needs to put more touch on his passes, needs to develop as a QB. He didn't get to do that last year aside from watching and mental reps. And I think that this will be a team that I very well could be off with the 5 wins, but I think that's very realistic that they do finish last place in a really good division, third place in a really good division, either one of those because of JJ's inexperience. I think the roster is really good. I think Kevin O'Connell's obviously great, coach of the year. But that's my hot take in the NFC is the Vikings. I know it's not going to be what you have. I know it's not going to be what pretty much anybody has, but I'm not. JJ McCarthy is not the guy yet for me that I want to believe in.
Mm, interesting. I'll start with my bottom team then. I'm going with the Chicago Bears in last place. Last year, Brady, I drank the Kool-Aid. I
I
had
did
them
too.
I had them winning the division last year. Like I really drank the Kool-Aid. The roster was really good. Coaching was not good. And
Mm-mm.
I bought into the team on paper and I was wrong. Team on paper looks pretty good again this year. I think I'm not going to overhype the Chicago Bears and I think their last preseason game against the Chiefs, I think that was a better litmus test of how they'd look and they started off pretty slow. So, I think this is going to be an up and down year. It's going to be a lot of learning for Caleb Williams trying to play within a system and an NFL offense on schedule. And I think he'll be better because of that. I like what they have in offense. They could be fun at times. They have a really tough schedule. And I think you're right. The defense is still missing some pieces for them to be good. They need that extra edge rusher, and I'm kind of wondering if they even made a play for Parsons. So that would have been a big time ad for them. But I think the Bears are still a year away potentially. Anything around like eight, I have them at 8-9. Like I think they take a step forward, but it's not going to be enough.
Yeah.
Next team I got the Vikings at 10-7. See, unlike you with the Vikings, I am buying into everything around JJ McCarthy as to elevating him.
And I want to. I
Yeah,
just it's tough.
schedule.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm buying into KOC. KOC's a great coach. He's elevated every quarterback he's had play under him. They just added two of the better interior offensive linemen. They drafted what's his name from Ohio State? Going blank right now. Donovan Jackson. They added him as well on the interior offensive line. They already have two good tackles in Darisaw and Brian O'Neill. That's a top 5 unit in the NFL. And add in you have Justin Jefferson, veteran, and Aaron Jones, Jordan Mason plug and play around the goal line now. I like that side. Where I'm concerned with the Vikings is their run stopping ability this year. They were good last year, but Javon Hargrave and Jonathan Allen were two of the lowest graded defenders in the NFL against the run. Good bull rushers, good power rushers, not good against the run. So I'm concerned about that, especially in a division with Josh Jacobs, Jameer Gibbs, and David Montgomery. That's concerning for me, but I think the Vikings are good enough to make the playoffs this year. In second place, I had the Lions. I think the Lions are going to get off to a slow start this year, and I think it's going to be because of the turnover this team has had on their coaching staff. It's different coordinators calling different plays in different situations. Yes, they're going to be very aggressive again, but the calls are going to be slightly different. This is not a true Ben Johnson tree type of guy within their system. It's a different type of scheme they're going to be running. They lost majority of their interior offensive line. I like Isaac Tesla operating as their third wide receiver. I think it gives them another weapon to play with, which they already have so many of. But the team's really talented. Defense is getting everybody healthy. I have them going 12-5 still. And then in first place, I got the Packers, and it was the Micah Parsons move that did it for me. I mean, they needed a playmaker at the edge. I mean, they went out and got a wide receiver in Matthew Golden who can give them playmaking ability. Now you add the edge rusher. All right, Green Bay. Now we can start talking Super Bowl. And I think that they're in a prime position. I think LaFleur is one of the best in the NFL as well. And I think Jordan Love being healthier this year should help them. All right, Brady, let's take it to the NFC East here. And this division seems like it's very cookie cutter to me.
Yeah, I've got the Giants in last place, going 3-14, matching the record from last year. I think Abdul Carter and that D line are going to be the reason people tune into these games, as well as Malik Neighbors. But Russell Wilson faded down the stretch last year. He's on his third team in 4 years, fourth team in 5 years, whatever it may be for Russell
Yeah, I
Wilson.
think it's four now. Yeah.
Yeah, 4 and 5 years for Russell Wilson with the Seahawks, Broncos, Steelers, and Giants. The second they start losing, which is going to be pretty quick, they're going to be calling for Jackson Dart, and then we'll get the Jackson Dart experiment, who's a guy I'm not sold on. I know that Blitz Sports Media has put out some Jackson Dart propaganda from the
The
preseason, but I'm
propaganda
not
has come
sold.
out.
I'm not sold yet on him. And like I said, I think the defensive line and Malik Neighbors are going to be great. I think everything else is going to be pretty below average in New York. They don't have a good run game. They don't really have great supporting wide receivers. Darius Slayton is fine. They don't really have anybody at the tight end position. They don't have a good secondary. Not big on the Giants at all. Last place seems pretty self-explanatory. Third place, I got the Dallas Cowboys at 6-11, and I had them sitting here even before the Micah Parsons move. I think they'll be the NFC Bengals, where their Dak, CD, and George Pickens are going to get theirs. They're going to have numbers and they'll put up points in games, but that defense has nobody. I know they extended Duron Bland, honestly, maybe even just to
Ooh.
rage bait the fans, but you got him and Trayvon Diggs, who I've never been a Trayvon Diggs guy. You have Odigazua, but you have your best guy coming off the edge now is Donovan Ezaraku, maybe. And I don't think this defense is going to be good. They got them 6-11. Number two, Commanders. I think they take a little bit of a step back. I think that people are. I was talking to you about this the other day and on the show. Like they I think the end of their season was a little bit of a mirage. I think that they played some really weak opponents down the stretch after being 7-5. They beat the Buccaneers because the Buccaneers beat themselves. And then they got really hot against the Lions. Lions turned the ball over a lot, but I won't take credit away from the Commanders in that game. They executed well on both sides of the ball. They capitalized. And then they got smoked in the NFC Championship game. I like Jay Daniels. I think he's a good player. I think some people are doing it a little bit overboard with Jay Daniels, saying he's the fifth best quarterback already in the league. I want to see it again. Got Terry McLaurin back, but outside of that, who do you have? Like Noah Brown, Debo Samuel, you got Bill in the backfield. Not sure I buy that. And then the defense, we talked about this, just a lot of washed stars, Marshawn Lattimore, Von Miller, Bobby Wagner, Frankie Louvu is a good player, Mikey Sanders still is a good player. I think this team takes a step back and they'll be right on that playoff bubble at 9-8. That's what I have for the Washington Commanders this year. And then Philadelphia Eagles, they're going to be dominant once again. 14-3 team. Don't even have to say too much about them. Reigning Super Bowl champions: Saquon Barkley, Jalen Hurts, AJ Brown, Devontae Smith, Lane Johnson, Cooper DeJean. All of these guys that are just phenomenal. Zach Bond, who they brought back, they're going to be really good. And then, by the way, they got some really good draft picks. Once again, they got Makuba from Texas at safety. They got Jahad Campbell at linebacker, who was one of my 17 best prospects. They got him at 31. This is going to be a really good team. Once again, the only thing that could stop the Eagles is bad health, bad injury luck. But Eagles 14-3, taking the NFC East once again, which is interesting because there has not been a consecutive NFC East champion in a long time. But I think the Eagles will be the team to change that.
Yeah, the Eagles are too talented. Like it feels like. I mean, they have basically no holes on this team. The Eagles are so loaded on both sides of the ball, whether that's edge rushers, nose tackle rushers. You got a deep linebacker core now, really good corners. Offensively, you have the two of the best tackles in the NFL, paired with AJ Brown at receiver, Saquon in the backfield. Right?
Their weakest area might be their top 10 quarterback.
But I mean, I think that's fair to say their weakest area is probably Jalen Hurts at quarterback. I mean, you're
It was
not
a good
wrong.
player. Your worst area on your team, the area you might be most concerned about, is the Super Bowl MVP from last year.
Yeah, which is crazy. I think listen, the Eagles are going to be really good again this year. Their roster is still these guys like they have a good mix of veterans paired with younger guys right now. They're going to be good for quite some time.
And Vic Fangio is a wizard at
Vic
DC.
Fangio still got him. Like the Eagles are intact. Everything is good with Philadelphia. No concerns. I have them going 13-4 in the regular season. Commanders, I have it 10-7, followed by them. Their defense doesn't excite me at all. I think that's the biggest reason for regression this year. I think there's not going to be much defense played in the NFC East outside of Philadelphia and the Giants getting some pass rush here or there. The Commanders have a lot of older guys in that defense, aren't necessarily in their primes. I think Jaden Daniels is going to be flashy. I don't think he's going to be like a big year two regression candidate like we saw like from CJ Stroud. I think he's going to play good this year. I just don't think the Commanders as a team excite me a lot. I have them going 10-7. I think they're going to be solid, but I don't think they're going to be, NFC championship losers, take a big step forward. Their Super Bowl team all of a sudden. I don't think they're there. A lot of other better NFC teams. Cowboys have it 6-11, and they took a three. I had them winning three more games with Micah Parsons. I could
Ooh, we
actually
had
see a
nine and
world where the
eight. Ooh.
Cowboys could actually go 9-8 if they had Micah Parsons, but well, he's gone now, and now their defense has basically no sort of pass rush that makes me excited about having Dak Prescott's best receiver room in years. So, not really excited about the Cowboys that much anymore. Their running back situation is brutal right now. They're not going to be able to run the ball. It's going to be Dak Prescott dropping back 40 times a game. Let's see if we can go outshoot and outbeat somebody. The Giants, 4-13. Get ready for Jackson Dart at some point this season. I think Malik Neighbors is going to be fun to watch once again. I think the pass rushing, trio they have there is going to be fun to watch as well. Outside of that, not going to be paying attention to many Giants games. It's going to be a pretty rough year for them. Brady, let's hop into the NFC West here. We're going to have a team going from worst to first.
You think so? You think so? That's okay. Okay, you know what? I'll let you start this one.
Oh, you want me to cook? All right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got the 49ers at the top of the division. And I think the 49ers last year was a perfect storm of basically every injury happening to this team. A lot of, veterans that were at the tail end of their contracts. They're just the 49ers basically had the 2024 season happen. They turned the page over. And in 2025, they're back to a top 5 roster in the NFL. The offensive line is now healthy. Christian McCaffrey is now healthy. They added Brian Robinson, who's one of the better backups in the league now behind him. The receiver room is not healthy yet. Brandon Ayuk will be healthy in a few weeks now, but Ricky Pearsall is expected for a bigger role. I like what Juwan Jennings does with this team. Demarcus Robinson, when he comes back from suspension, has been pretty good for the Rams the past few years. And oh, yeah, they got George Kittle as well. Defensively, Fred Warner is still really good. Cornerback, I do have my concerns there, and that's probably my biggest concern with them. But I really like what they did on the defensive line. They established their nose tackle needs. They went out and got another edge rusher, Mikel Williams, next to Nick Bosa, which is going to be fun to watch. So, yeah, I'm excited about this 49ers team. I got the Rams following them. Rams are going to be really good this year as long as Stafford can, maintain his health throughout the season. Puka, Devontae Adams giving them those weapons along with Kyron Williams, a strong offensive line, and then a defense that's emerged as an actual threat for the first time, it feels like, with Stafford and McVay in Los Angeles. I think Jared Verse is an up and coming player, going to have a big time breakout year. Last year, he made a statement. I think this year he's going to finally get double digit stacks. They made some good moves as well that I like there. I have them going 12-5. Cardinals, I have fallen them at 9-8. I think the Cardinals defense is going to be really good this year. I love what they did and the pieces they added on that unit. Offensively, they're going to be very annoying. It's going to be a Drew Petzing show of dump downs and Kyler Murray throwing the ball underneath, and it's going to be an up and down season for that offense. Could be Kyler Murray's last year for the Cardinals. And then I had the Seahawks in last place at 5-12. I just don't think the Seahawks did enough. Right? They don't have an elite edge rusher and they don't have an elite quarterback. That's typically a bad combination in the NFL, and that's not going to result in much. I think Kenneth Walker is a really talented player. JSN, really talented player. Bad offensive line mixed in there as well. The Seahawks don't excite me this year.
Yeah, so I'm pretty close to you, except my second hottest take in the NFC. But we'll start from the bottom, and that is Arizona. I not even gonna like. I'm not sure about the wins, but it's here's one thing for me. I'm a little bit scarred. I've drank the Kyler Murray Kool-Aid for years in the preseason, saying that they're going to be great and they're going to figure it out this year with Kyler on offense. He's a sleeper MVP candidate. And I've gotten burned too many times. And, they did make some good defensive additions. You got Walter Nolan, who will start the year on the PUP list. You got um, Josh Sweat from Philly coming in. Will Johnson, who you drafted, if he's healthy, I think he'll be a good player. And then you got Buda, but I'm still not sold on this defense as a collective. I'm not sold on Jonathan Gannon. I thought he showed some things to be encouraged about after year one, but I thought last year they were not as great. And I do like Trey McBride and Marvin Harrison. Don't like the offensive line very much. James Conner is fine. He's a consistent 1,000 yard slow burner, but not really somebody you have to game plan around. And I don't know, like I just feel like the Cardinals are going to be that team that's a lot better than their record looks, but loses a lot of really close games down the stretch in games. I think Kyler Murray is not the best in the world. And then I've got the Seahawks third at 6-11. Sam Darnold, I don't think will regress all the way back to his Jets backup 49ers form or anything like that. But I think that you're going to see that he was aided a lot by his surroundings, especially Kevin O'Connell last year. You got JSN there, and then you got washed Cooper Cup, in my opinion, who I don't think is moving the needle. Kenneth Walker and Zach Charbonnet in the backfield. Kenneth Walker is a player I really like, but there's just not enough offensively. They got Gray Zabel in the draft, but they're trying to build the offensive line. It's just not there yet. Defensively, I do really like them. At last year, after the bye week, I believe it was, they
They,
were a
they, they
top
did take
five.
a step
They
forward.
were a top five unit in the NFL and EPA per play defensively. They added some guys like Ernest Jones in the secondary. You've got Devon Witherspoon and Reek Woolen, and I think there's a lot to like about this defense, especially with Mike McDonald, the way he gets guys in spots, but I just don't think they're going to be good enough. And then the two top teams in this division, I have them both winning 14 games. I've got the 49ers in second. A lot of the things you were saying, they're going to be healthier this year. Brock Purdy in year 4 in the system. He's gotten better and better. I felt like he was pretty impressive last year, all things considered. I know the record is bad, but he was dealing with a pretty bad hand uh, dealt to him, and their schedule is really, really easy. They get a last place schedule. They're playing a lot of really bad teams. The Niners are not a really bad team. They've got a great roster. I think Robert Sala is he's my pick for assistant coach of the year. I think that defense is going to go right back to how dominant they were a couple years ago, how dominant they were in 2019 with Bob Sala, even losing Greenlaw and Hufanga. You've still got guys over there. Diamond Lenore is turning into one of the premier cornerbacks in the National Football League. You've still got Nick Bosa. You've still got Fred Warner. You've got guys in place there to make this system work. Michael Williams, as you said, you've got guys. And then in first, I have the Los Angeles Rams. I am concerned about the secondary. I think they could make a move around midseason if they're winning. But Puka Nacua and Devontae Adams is one of the best wide receiver duos in the league. I think people don't realize how much Devontae still has left in the tank because he was on some bad squads the last few years. Devontae Adams is still great. He's still a great player. He's not a top five receiver like he once was, but he's in my top 15, top 20. Pair him with Puka Nacua, who is in my top five. Matt Stafford, maybe one last run here for him. You got Jared Verse, who was my defensive player of the year pick. I think I'm going to scratch that for Micah Parsons, to be honest with you. But Jared Verse is my DPOY pick initially. He's going to be great. They got Fisk. They've got a couple other guys on the defense. That's the area I'm kind of a little more sketched out about with the Rams, but I think Sean McVay is such a great coach. I think the offense is going to be super dynamic, and I've got them winning the NFC West. Now to our last division.
The NFC South, and this division was not great last year. The Saints are going to be brutal this year, Brady. They could. I actually wouldn't be surprised if they go on 17. This team stinks.
Ooh,
I don't have them at 0 and 17. I got them at 2 and 15.
me too. Okay,
Spencer
same.
Rattler and Tyler Shuck somehow will find a way to win 2 games. They won't be favored at any games, but they'll find a way. They got a really easy schedule coming up this year, but I mean, Alvin Kamara, I don't know what his workload's going to look like with this team at the end of his career. Basically, 300 touches for 2 wins. Come on, I don't really see that as a realistic possibility. Chris Olave's had a hard time staying on the field with the Derek Carr hospital balls he's thrown over his past few seasons. The offensive line, I like their tackle situation. I think Kelvin Banks is going to be a nice player for them. Defensively, I mean, this team just, I mean, there's nothing that excites me. I can't even talk about. I'm sorry, Saints. Have fun. First or second overall. Sign it up now. Panthers are next. I do think they take a step forward. Do I think it's enough to make the playoffs? No. I have them at 7 and 10. I think in free agency they didn't do enough. They had a ton of cap space. Right, their biggest move that was notable was Tershawn Wharton basically coming over, and that was not enough for them. They needed a Patriots type offseason spend, and they didn't do it. I think Ted McMillan's going to be a good player for them. I like the backfield duo, Chuba Hubbard and Rico Dowdle in that backfield. I think the offensive line's not bad either. It's all up to Bryce Young and how much he could potentially carry this team to the playoffs. In second place, the Buccaneers are missing the playoffs this year. The Tampa Bay
Ooh.
Buccaneers are starting the season off without Tristan Wirfs, Chris Godwin, Jalen McMillan, and I love myself a Mecca Agabuka slotting into that receiver role alongside Mike Evans, Bucky Irving. I think the offense is going to be just fine. But that defense, Brady, that defense concerns me. And I don't think that they have enough firepower defensively. And obviously, like they're in the NFC South. And yeah, sure, like they can get away with that defense, but they have a tough schedule. It's going to be hard for them to compete. And we saw times last year that where the Falcons had a complete collapse down the stretch and the Bucks were able to get hot against some worse teams at the right time. The Bucks made the playoffs over the Falcons. And I don't think that's the case this year. I think the Atlanta Falcons taking this division, Brady. They added 2 edge rushers
Ooh.
that they desperately needed. They had the worst pass rush I've ever seen last year at times. James Pierce is going to significantly help this team. And here's the thing though, is like Atlanta and Tampa Bay are very similarly built. Like the defenses, I feel like are both concerns for this team. The offense has a load of playmakers on both sides of the ball. Now let's see what we get. Michael Penix Jr. slotted in for Atlanta for a full season. Can he play as well as he did at times towards the end of the last year for an entire course of his season? I think there's a chance he can, and I like what he can do with the weapons the Atlanta Falcons have. I have him going 10-7 winning the division. Brady, what are your thoughts about the NFC South? And I
All
feel like
right,
this
so
division's tough to predict too right now.
I'm with you. I'm with you with the Saints at 2 and 15. They're gonna be horrible. Spencer Rattler stinks. Tyler Shuck probably stinks. Olave's fine, but he's nothing special. Banks, we'll see. And then the defense is trash, like you said. They'll be a really bad team. Panthers, I got at 8 and 9. I think, like you said, Bryce Young and Ted McMillan is going to be a really good connection. At this point, the Adam Thielen move kind of looks like it was for no reason. With
Jalen
Jalen
Coker got
Coker
hurt.
going on
Yeah.
IR. But we'll see how they work. I mean, you've got Chuba Hubbard and Rico Dowdle both in the backfield, like you said. And then defensively, you got J.C. Horn paid. You've got Derek Brown coming back, who people overlook. He's coming back from missing pretty much all of last year with an injury. I think that there are pieces to build around on this Panthers team. They're not there yet, but they can be a sneaky team. They finished the year strong last year. Bryce Young started to look better and better, and that should only improve with a new number one receiver, really dynamic number one receiver. And then number two, I have the Falcons going 10-7 in this division. I love Bijan Robinson. I love Drake London. He's one of the 10 best receivers in the league to me and very underrated by the majority of NFL fans. Michael Penix looked great in the games he played last year. Michael Penix in the starts that he had last year, it's a small sample size, so take from it what you will. Michael Penix in the games that he started last year was one of the eight best quarterbacks in the league, EPA per play. Falcons were putting up a bunch of points. And I think he scored on something like 40% of his drives. He scored points as a starter. That's really good. And the defense, like you mentioned, if even one of these edge rushers between Pierce and Walker hit, they're looking a lot better. They're getting better pass rush. You've got Anyamata still, who's solid. Jesse Bates, who's a phenomenal safety. AJ Terrell's a good corner. Caden Ellis, an underrated linebacker. I think that this team will have some exciting moments. I think the offense will be one of the eight best in the league, probably. I think they'll be really explosive. Don't forget about Darnell Mooney, and don't forget about you can't give up on Kyle Pitts, man.
I give
It's
up.
good.
I'm done. I'm
This is
out.
the year. No, I'm just kidding.
I'm
But
out.
he'll give you 500, 600 at worst, probably. But the Falcons are in second, and I do have the Bucks first place in the NFC South at 12-5. Baker Mayfield's a dog. This offense has too many weapons. Mike Evans is one of the best receivers still in the NFL. He's still chugging. McMillan started to come along late last year. You've got Egbuka, as you mentioned. Bucky Irving is a dog. They just extended Luke Goedeke. And then I'm looking at the defensive depth chart, and I'm a little bit worried on the edges, but they did bring in Hassan Reddick if he has something left in the tank. You got Vita Vea, who's
Run it back. Run it back.
one of the biggest lane cloggers in the NFL. Levante David's always going to be Levante David. Then you got Zion McCollum, who's got upside as a corner. Antoine Winfield, one of the best safeties. But Benjamin Morrison out of Notre Dame, the rookie. I think he'll get more and more snaps over the first few weeks, and you'll see a really good corner. The only reason, remember, that he dropped to the Buccaneers in that second round is off of injury. It's off of being injured at the end of the season last year for Notre Dame. This guy was a projected top 15 pick at one point with the Irish. So I've got the Bucks first place in the NFC South. And so now let's go over. I'm going to give you just the full out standings. I'll lay it out here, not full out, but my three bubble teams and then the seven that are making it. In the AFC, my 10 seed is Houston. They're just missing it. Nine, Las Vegas. Eight, New England. The Patriots are going to be just outside of the playoff picture. My wild cards from 7-5, Cincinnati, LA Chargers, and Denver Broncos. Division winners, 4 seed to 1. Jaguars, Chiefs, Bills, Ravens. Ravens getting the number 1 seed and a bye. Buffalo getting a first round home playoff game. Kansas City, Jacksonville, first round home playoff games.
Yeah, it's very similar to what I got right now in my playoff picture. I got the Ravens with the 1 seed, Chiefs 2 seed, Bills 3 seed, Texans 4 seed, Broncos locking up the 5 seed, Chargers locking up the 6 seed, Bengals locking up the 7 seed. I have the Patriots in the 8 slot. I have the Steelers in the 9 slot, and then I have the Jaguars in the 10 slot. There in the NFC, I got the 49ers as the 1 seed, Eagles as the 2 seed, Packers as the 3 seed, Falcons as the 4 seed, Rams as the 5 seed, Commanders as the 6 seed, Vikings as the 7 seed, and just outside of that bubble, let me check what I got. I have the Buccaneers in my 8 slot. I have the Cardinals in my 9 slot, and then I have the Bears in my 10 slot. Brady, what is your NFC side? And tell me how the NFC is going to play out.
Yeah, so I've got Chicago at the 10 spot, Carolina 9, Washington 8, just missing. Jaden Daniels and Drake May, both in year two, will be the first team out on their respective sides, missing the playoffs. 7 seed, I've got Atlanta. 6 seed, Green Bay. Again, that's the one I'll say interchangeable with Detroit. Green Bay and Detroit interchangeable here. 5 seed, San Francisco. 4 seed, Tampa Bay. 3 seed, Detroit. 2 seeded Philly. 1 seed, LA Rams. Now, before we get into our playoff picks, we want to go over our awards really quick. Just a quick spill on our award winners.
All right, yeah, we can rip that.
All right, cool. So I'm gonna go my MVP. I think the runner-up will be Mahomes. Talked about the offense being improved. Chiefs will be really good. Mahomes has been a few years since he won one. There's not as much fatigue there for him if he does play to that type of level. But I think it's gonna be Lamar Jackson. I think he got robbed a little bit last year, and I think that he's coming for MV3. If the Ravens do go 15-2, like my prediction, it's hard to imagine that Lamar Jackson won't be the MVP of the league.
Yeah, I got Joe Burrow locking up the MVP on my end, and I think that if the
You
Bengals
got
make
a wild card quarterback winning the MVP?
man, it's a miracle that he. I mean, listen, I told you he's a social media quarterback at the NFL, and I think a lot of people would vote for Burrow if he takes this Bengals defense to the playoffs. I'm worried about. I mean, Lamar is kind of due. It feels like for a down year. He's had like I think 3 straight years of MVP, like one or two
But
production.
why does that mean he's due for a down year? To me, that says that he's improved every year as a starter.
No, 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 no. See, like the thing is with that too is like one, you have the foot injury that's already I'm a little bit worried about. Two, there's always a sort of like I think Mahomes is a good example of it. Is it's not going to be like every single year is going to be gaudy numbers. There's going to be a year where Lamar had that 2 years ago. I think when he kind of won that MVP, where he had somewhat down numbers. I mean, Lamar was perfect last year. Brady, it felt like 41 touchdowns, and he was an elite rusher on top of that. That's what I kind of feel like I don't see happening this year. And I think Allen was hyper efficient last year. I think he'll be obviously in the conversation. Mahomes is always an interesting pick, and I think if he puts up really good numbers without Rasheed Rice, I mean, I think he'll get even better down the stretch. So I think it's interesting there. Offensive player of the year, I have Jameer Gibbs. Defensive player of the year, I have Jared Verse. I think Gibbs is going to get, a ton of I'm not going to say a ton more volume, but enough more volume that his numbers jump from a 1,200-yard rusher to a 1,500-yard rusher with his receiving upside. I think Verse translates those pressures into sacks. Offensive player of the year and coach of the year, I actually have your guys. Mike Vrabel wins coach of the year. Travion Henderson wins offensive rookie of the year, sorry. And then assistant coach of the year, Joe Brady. Defensive rookie of the year, I have Will Johnson from the Cardinals.
Ooh. Okay. All right. So I've got offensive player of the year, Jamar Chase. Felt like any other year, his performance last year would have won offensive player of
Yeah.
the year, but Saquon just went nuclear. Like you said, Bengals are going to have to run it up, score a bunch of points, bunch of yards. Jamar Chase is going to be right in the thick of that. My runner up is Bijan Robinson. Defensive player of the year, I had Jared Verse. Like I said, I'm bumping him to runner up, though. I'm going Micah Parsons, winning DPOY in Green Bay. I know we've got the questions about his injuries and needing to get these epidurals every week, but he'll be ready to go. It's Micah Parsons. He'll be good to go. And last year, even only playing 13 games, he still had like 14 sacks, 50, 60 pressures. So he'll be fine and he'll get the numbers needed, especially. They got to worry about him and Rashawn Gary. They can't just solely commit to him. But then offensive rookie of the year, Travis Hunter. Again, I think this is kind of a reverse of what some people might say, but I got Travis Hunter, offensive rookie of the year. He'll be a really high impact receiver immediately. Runner up, Trevion Henderson for me. Defensive rookie of the year, I got Abdul Carter. I just think he's going to be a freak. I think he'll put up really big sack numbers. These awards tend to skew towards edge rushers anyway on the defensive side of the ball. So we'll go with him. Mike Green will be my runner up on a really good Ravens defense. Then coach of the year, I've got Mike Vrabel as my coach of the year. If the Patriots are 10-7 off of a 4-13 year, that's a 6-win improvement. They've already got a lot of hype and steam around them. That's the kind of stuff you need to win these awards from the preseason. Then my runner-up, Sean Payton. Comeback player of the year, I got Christian McCaffrey. I think he'll lead a really good 49er offense. Aiden Hutchinson will be my runner-up here. But if C-Mac is just a really big part of the engine of that Niners offense, I don't see it going to anybody else. And then my protector of the year, Panay Sewell for the Detroit Lions. It's a new award, first year that we're going to have it. Panay Sewell is my protector of the year. Joe Alt is going to be my runner-up.
Hmm. Chargers are going to need Joel to be that runner up for sure. All right, playoff predictions, Brady. I'm going to roll through my picks here. Bengals are traveling to Kansas City for a
Let's
rivalry
go. Let's
game.
go round by round. Let's go round by round. AFC then NFC. That's how. Let's do it.
All right, I got you. All right, wild card round. Bengals traveling to Chiefs. I got the Chiefs taking that game. I think the Chiefs are going to eat alive a Bengals defense this year that's depleted. Chargers are traveling to Buffalo. I think this could be actually a very interesting trap game for the Bills based on the way the Chargers want to play. Running the ball against this Bills defense could be a very big asset for them, for their Bills defense that struggled against it. Kind of went back and forward with one. I'm going with a better quarterback. Give me Josh Allen at home. Broncos versus Texans. The Broncos are just the better team. They're going to eat alive a bad Texans offense. So I had the Broncos moving on as well. In the NFC, I got the Eagles versus the Vikings in round one. I think the Eagles are going to eat alive a young JJ McCarthy in this game. They'll move on pretty easily. Packers versus Commanders. I think the Packers are going to take this one. Same type of concept. Commanders' defense is not necessarily super deep. I trust that Matt LaFleur will have a good game plan for them. Rams at Falcons. I'm also going with the 5 seed taking down the Falcons. The Rams should be locked and loaded for a long playoff run. Brady, who you got in your wild card round?
Wild card round starting in the AFC. We've got 2 seed Buffalo hosting 7 seed Cincinnati. This is a rematch from the same game in the same stadium back in 2022 when the Bengals took it to the Bills in the snow. I see a different result this time. Buffalo moves on. Then I've got Kansas City hosting the LA Chargers for a third matchup of the season in Arrowhead. It's going to be rocking. Chiefs don't lose before the AFC Championship round, at least to this point in history. Give me them. And then I've got the 5 seed Broncos heading to Duval and taking down the Jaguars, the 4 seeded Jags. I've got the Broncos moving on. Bills, Chiefs, Broncos, and Ravens will be in the divisional round in the AFC. And then in the NFC, I've got 2 seed Philadelphia hosting Atlanta and getting the victory there. I've got 6 seed Green Bay going on the road to Detroit and getting the victory in their third matchup of the season. And then give me the Niners traveling to Tampa Bay and knocking out Tampa at home in the wild card for the second straight year. That gives us Rams, Eagles, Packers, and 49ers in the divisional on the NFC side.
Yeah, Brady, I screwed up my divisional picks. I would actually have the Lions traveling to Green Bay, not the Commanders. So I
Okay.
would go. I think I would still go Packers over Lions in Lambeau, Eagles over Commanders in that situation. The Vikings actually would be missing the playoffs. I don't know
Mm.
how I missed the Lions for the playoffs, but that's actually nuts. But for the divisional round, I'm not changing it. For the AFC, I had the Broncos traveling to Baltimore. I think this is a trap game for the Ravens. It's a trap game written all over it for me. A Broncos defense that has all the tools to compete with the Ravens offense. I think that this game will be close, low scoring. I have the Broncos beating the Ravens in the playoffs.
And then we got to get off the Ravens
No, no, I'm not.
haterade,
Listen, I am
man.
not a Ravens hater. I know it kind of like seems that way after how this videos went, but like actually, like I genuinely think out of any team besides the Chiefs to match up with the Ravens in the playoffs, I think the Broncos had the best chance
I don't
at
think they
being.
can keep up offensively.
They might not have to though.
I
They
don't
might not
know.
have to.
Continue, continue.
All right, I'm going with the upset there. To be honest, that's probably like one of the only upsets I picked too, so I had to kind of go with one. Uh, and then I got classic Bills Chiefs every single year. It happens. Chiefs haven't lost to the Bills in the playoffs, so I'm going to continue to pick them in that situation. And then I'm moving on to the NFC side of things. Rams 49ers, a great division matchup. I just feel like Sean McVay has a slight edge over Kyle Shanahan when it comes to
Most
these big
definitely.
games.
Yep.
So I'm taking the Rams in this one on the road, upsetting Kyle Shanahan. And then I got the Packers against the Eagles. Man, this is a great matchup here, but I think the Eagles are too talented against this Packers roster, and I think the Eagles will wind up coming up top. All right, AFC and NFC championship games are set. What are you thinking, Brady? I know I
All
got
right.
one crazy upset mixed in there, but
So
think
to be
about the
honest,
Commanders.
our matchups are all pretty close here. So I do have Denver traveling to Baltimore, and I have Baltimore getting the win. I think as good as Denver's defense is, and they will be more experienced. So I'm not saying this is exactly how it'll turn out. We saw them hold down Buffalo for a while last year, going to Buffalo and holding down for a while. Then we saw Buffalo and just the talent level
Explode,
and the
yeah.
experience just push ahead. And I think that's what we see with Baltimore. I think it'd be sort of similar to a couple years back when Baltimore had the 1 seed and faced Houston in Baltimore in the divisional. Texans hung around for a while, and then in the fourth quarter down the stretch, Lamar and the offense just took it from them And I think that that could be exactly what we see here. Ravens moving on, and I've got more on the Ravens once we get to the conference championship. But I've also got Kansas City heading to Buffalo, beating them for the fifth time, beating them for the second time in Orchard Park. Chiefs once again for the eighth straight time, tying the New England Patriots, going to a consecutive AFC championship game. And then in the NFC, I've got the number one seeded Rams taking on the Packers at home and taking them down. I like the Rams in that game. I think Matthew Stafford's good at getting rid of the ball quick, and I don't think Green Bay has a secondary that can cover those two receivers. You got the storyline of the Devontae Adams against his old team in that NFC divisional round too. He's going to cook them, and I think that the Rams move on to the conference championship. And then I've got Philly versus San Fran, a rematch of the 2022 NFC title game,
Oh
and
man.
I've got the Eagles. I've got the Eagles at home getting the victory here at the link, setting up a day in SoFi Stadium between the Eagles and the Rams. And I'll go ahead and put my conference championships out here first. I've got a rematch of the 2023 AFC title game in Baltimore, Ravens and Chiefs. And this is one I told you I went back and forth on because it's hard to pick against the Chiefs until somebody does it. And I feel like there were times I definitely fell victim to this last year. And part of that was just not wanting the Chiefs to win, if I'm being totally honest. But this year, I think it's fair and objective to say that the Ravens have the better team on paper. Now it's a matter of where the experience comes into play here. At this point, I'm totally fine if you say Patrick Mahomes is better than Lamar Jackson. Mahomes is still one on my QB rankings because winning and being, the guy that wins the AFC every year matters to me. But if you're talking from film and performance standpoint, you can make a really good argument the last 2, 3 years, Mahomes and Lamar are on the same type of tier, especially in the regular season. I think Lamar and the Ravens have been getting closer and closer each year. Think about it. They were going from a team that got embarrassed in the wild card to they lost in the divisional to then after missing 2 years with an unhealthy Lamar, they make it to the conference championship, but they play horrible in it. Then last year they do lose a round earlier, but they finally look like they played a good game as a playoff team. That was a game that the Ravens played well in, and they lost to a good team on a couple unfortunate mistakes at the end. Can they stop themselves from making those unfortunate mistakes? The way I think Lamar Jackson's going to be playing, I think so, and I think it's going to be a really, really close game. And for the first time since 2021, the Chiefs do not win the AFC. Give me Baltimore. And then in the NFC, give me the Eagles doing it again, going back to the Super Bowl, taking down the Rams. We saw them beat the Rams twice last year. It's going to be a really hard fought game. The Rams will have revenge on their mind from the way their season ended in the snow in Philly last year. At this time, it'll be in the dome in SoFi. But I think the Eagles will just have so much momentum. At that point, they'll be like 31-6 over their last 37 games or something like that. And they're just going to be coming in hot. It will set up a Super Bowl showdown between the two birds, the Ravens and the Eagles, in my bracket.
The Battle of the Birds. Yeah, so I'll start with the NFC Rams and Eagles. I think this is a brewing rivalry in the NFC, and it's not going to last long because Stafford's going to retire soon. But I love watching the Rams and the Eagles. The Rams play the Eagles so well, and it just seems like there's one little miscue that they just don't capitalize or get over the hump. But they're right there every time. And this time, I actually had them going into the link, taking them down, and winning that game. I think this Rams team is super exciting this year, and I think adding another player like Devontae Adams is a whole nother element to this offense that Sean McVay can utilize in a big time postseason matchup like that. It's going to come down to the defense making some stops with the Eagles offense, but who knows what we're going to get. I know for sure that Saquon Barkley is not going to be as effective this year, whether or not he suits up for 17 games or misses time. I mean, Brady, we've never seen a guy have 500 touches between the regular and postseason before. And Saquon struggled with injuries in the past. I'm not sure I'm thinking of it in a realistic perspective that Saquon Barkley might
I
not
will
be
say,
available.
I will say he takes more. He takes a lot less punishment than other guys would behind those big boys on that
Oh
offensive
no,
line. He's
yeah,
got a
no,
lot more
yeah.
space.
Oh, dude, I mean he's running through holes we could get 4 yards for.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think the Rams are going to finally get over the hump in this one. I got the Rams. And then I got, an interesting one, the Chiefs and the Broncos in the AFC Championship game of potentially a very big brewing rivalry in the AFC West for the next 5 years if the Broncos can maintain this talent on the roster. This would be the third time they're seeing each other. I can't pick Bo Nix to beat Patrick Mahomes in the AFC Championship game yet. And you know what? I've been very, I don't want to say blinded, but you saying they haven't not made the Super Bowl since 2021 is just a crazy stat. Like I picked the Chiefs in a large part too because they just get over the hump. I've seen the Chiefs overcome like last year injuries, a bad tackle situation, and they made it to the Super Bowl again. Right, the year before it was the wide receiver room that had a little bit of special stuff going on there. That, but it just seems like the Chiefs team finds a way to get over the hump, and if a lot of things go their way in terms of a Josh Simmons improvement, it feels like they're in a really good spot this year to actually win impressively, which is something I think we can't say we've seen from the Chiefs over the last 2 seasons, is that they can win games and people could feel like, wow, the Chiefs actually won a game handily. Wow, the Chiefs actually played good football. I think this could be a Chiefs team where we see that, but I like the Chiefs against the Broncos in that matchup. Super Bowl Brady. I mean, I'm not going to go against the Chiefs. I'm not going to do it. I think in large part to put my fandom out of the way, like I am not going to pick against the Chiefs in large part too because I know that they're going to be there and they have Patrick Mahomes and they have a talented roster right now. Right? If they don't make the Super Bowl this year and let's say like the Ravens or the Bills do, I think it's an actual conversation. But until I see somebody take down the Chiefs in a big time game other than a team in the NFC, I have them in the Super Bowl, but I think the Chiefs match up with the Rams very well in terms of like schematically, their offense matching up well with the Rams defense. I think, um, Stafford, Puka, and Devontae Adams could give Spags a lot of trouble for sure in terms of a blitzing scheme, running a lot of one-on-one coverage and big time down situations with what Stafford can do. But I like the Chiefs to win it. Can't pick against them, Brady. Sorry. I know you don't like it, but I can't do it. I
No,
can't do it
I
right now.
can't. I can't hate on it. I can't hate on it. It's good logic, and like I said, I have the Chiefs losing close in the AFC title game. It's not terrible at all to say that they win that game and they move on to the Super Bowl. And once they're there, based off historically, more times than not, they win it once they get there. But I've got the Ravens and the Eagles. It's really, really hard to repeat. It's hard to see me. It's hard for me to see
Before you make
back
your pick,
back.
real quick, the Ravens and the Eagles might be the most talented rosters ever that made a Super Bowl. Between those
Yeah,
two teams,
two really good rosters, but it's really tough for me. Like you said, both these teams are really good. It's tough for me to see back-to-back Super Bowl champion happening twice in a row
that
with the
would be
Eagles and the Chiefs. And I think that the Eagles are more of a 2014 Seahawks that fall short of being that dominant super team, winning back-to-back years in a row. I think that Lamar Jackson is going to cement his case as a first ballot Hall of Famer, maybe a top 10 quarterback to play the game. If this all plays out the way I have it projected, who knows? We do this for fun. Half the shit's gonna be dead wrong, and then we'll be right on half of it and say that we were geniuses. But if Lamar Jackson wins the MVP, wins the Super Bowl, gets the 1 seed, that's like there's nothing left for Lamar to accomplish except for trying to catch up to Patrick Mahomes at that point. At that point, you got 3 MVPs, you've got a ring, you've brought another title to the city of Baltimore. You're a hero there forever. And I think that's how it's going to go down. I think this is the year for Lamar Jackson. And there was a point mid-season last year where I tried to latch onto this idea. I did not see it coming in the first half, and especially the way they struggled early on. But I really just feel like if I told you this before the show, if this isn't the year for them, it never will be. They've got a phenomenal team. Lamar has gotten better every single year. I don't buy into the foot stuff. I think it's the Ravens winning Super Bowl 60 in the 49ers stadium. And that is my predictions for the 2025 NFL season.
listen, I want to say shout out to all the goats that made it an hour and 23 minutes into this episode. Make sure you guys drop your predictions down in the comments below. Let us know who you have winning the Super Bowl and the MVP award for the regular season down below. Me and Brady really appreciate you guys tuning in. Make sure you guys stay all locked in, subscribe, hit the notification bell. We will be going live so many times throughout the year, having a ton of content for you guys, even more than we had last year. So I'm really excited about that. Me and Brady will catch you guys next time on the Blitz Angle.
Yes, sir. We'll see y'all later.